Welcome to Passing Notes Podcast, sharing music across generations. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. I found out, I didn't know, but apparently that's where some of you guys listen. Awesome. And anywhere else you listen to podcasts. This week,
I use YouTube.
What'd you say?
Keep going.
Okay. Let's talk it before we get into this week. We're gonna talk a little bit about last week, just about the comments with Mark's playlist that he made for us, Volcanic Rock, as he called it. We had one comment from Jaters. He says, "Shout out to Chuck Berry and marching bands all across the country."
The Yellow Rose of Texas. Oh.
The unsung heroes, you might say.
Yes, the unsung heroes. And speaking of Jaters, we have the man himself.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be my
Welcome.
week this week.
Our number one fan.
Fresh meat.
It was supposed to be my week, but I did not have an album, so I passed it on to Jaters, the man himself, the one and only Passing Notes dedicated fan.
Yep, the one and only.
Fan might be a bigger word than he'd like to use.
Right.
Yeah, I've listened to them all.
Damn.
So would you like to tell us what the album is and maybe a little bit about how you got into them or any other information you have?
Yeah. So, Alvvays, here we are. Here's the album cover. I've got it on CD here. I came into the album actually through, I don't know if you guys are familiar at all with the Amoeba YouTube channel. It's a record store in I think California, and they kind of have celebrities and musicians come on and they talk about their favorite albums. They go into the store, they buy some albums, and then they'll play songs. And I think the Wallows brought out this album, or the first album, and I think they might have played about 15 seconds of Dreams Tonight, and then I just listened to the album, listened to the band, and that's kind of how I started listening to them. So the band itself was formed in 2011 in Toronto. A lot of them are from Eastern Canada. They got 4 main members with a kind of a rotating drummer who's just kind of on for touring. The lead singer, Molly, it actually is kind of her solo project that started, it kind of developed into a band. And she herself is the daughter of kind of a famous Celtic folk band named the Rankin Family. She's the singer or guitarist in that band is her dad, I guess, and so she was brought up with a lot of those folk influences. And it's Alvvays because with 2 V's, because I think Alvvays was already a band name under Sony, so they just cut the V or cut the W in half and called it good. So
clever.
I'm glad you nipped that in the butt, because I was going to ask that.
Yeah, well, I think I want to say I watched an interview at some point where they made some laughing comment, because she's from like Prince Edward Island or something, and the keyboardist, who's like a friend from kindergarten, was from a neighboring island, so they joked that it's like they were separated by an island and the W is separated, by the thing. They made like a joke like that, but I think in general it was going to be Alvvays. It was taken already, so they liked the name and just cut it in half. So
From the loophole.
Yeah. So I guess unless anybody has anything else they'd like to say, we can kick it off with In Undertow.
Well, Bart always has a question or two, so let's make sure he doesn't have anything.
Race for impact.
Whoa.
Well, it sounds like I already got through one of his questions, which is
Hey, good on you for that.
Right. I mean, you threw me off balance. You're firing off answers before I can even throw questions. I guess I'm curious why you decided to, because this is as our most avid listener. You're preparing for this moment, and like come on, who else are we going to have on the show? You're going to be on the show, and this is the album you decide to bring to the table. And I'm sure, as a music guy,
Yeah.
I bet you have a lot of albums. I bet you have a
Yeah.
lot. So why this one specifically when, why is this one you're trying to share with us in the world?
It's because to me this one really has just recently grabbed me. I like, it's got really poppy songs, which in general I like. I don't mind poppy songs, but they kind of go in one ear and then a week later you're kind of like, I don't need to hear that again. And with this band, at least for me personally, it's like there are some songs on here I could listen to and I just like, they don't get old for me. And there's a lot of other bands that I like the full albums where maybe some people have heard of singles off those albums, like Kings of Leon or Interpol or The Strokes. I mean, there's a lot of bands where you might have heard some songs, about them. I wanted to grab something that I thought is kind of a hidden gem, I guess, in my mind, that's still making music right now and that I think should be more popular. Like if more people just heard it, it'd be something that you could hear on the radio. So that's, I guess, why I went with this one in the end.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
That. And yeah, I definitely feel that, when you, at least I assuming I'm reading this right, a lot of times when I pick albums, I also try to pick ones that aren't necessarily things that have been chart topping, like where by sharing it, I'm also probably exposing a lot of people to, like, anybody who is like listening to it or hearing it or decides to go listen to the album or whatever, like probably hasn't heard it. And there's something like, I don't know, satisfying or fulfilling or whatever about
introducing people to new music. Yeah.
Hearing something you love, So
yeah.
Definitely dig that. And I definitely dug your kind of diamond in the rough here. And I would say I agree. They definitely have some pop sounds. I don't know if I get it through the whole album, but it's like,
it's
like pop with an extra layer of depth to it too, though, where you're right, where I think a normal pop song for me, is something that I find catchy. I'll like it the first listen, but I might be tired of it by the end of that week. Whereas I feel like these songs, they might not grab me day one, but by day 2 or 3, they had me, and I'm still liking them more, even though I'm approaching like double-digit listens. So, it's great. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to get into it, and that's all I have. Unless we want to get back.
I have a quick little aside that I thought was very strange. So we're going to pick up a pizza, and my wife decides, well, let's hear what it's going to be this week. And she starts it off, and so my wife has she's open-minded, has a broad range of music she likes, from Five Finger Death Punch to Trisha Yearwood to Adele to Tool to Kevin Bacon. So by the third song, she's like, I can't listen to this anymore. This voice is like fingernails on a chalkboard. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I thought it was so strange because she likes so many different styles, but she could not handle even 3 songs of this, which struck me as very
I find
odd.
that I think she's the first person I've ever heard who has, I guess, that take. But I've met people like that before, where for some reason, some vocal delivery or some way the melody is given out is just like it's a turnoff for some people instantly with some bands, and you'll be listening to it and you're like, this is no worse than any other singer out there who's doing the same thing. So sometimes I guess it just grabs some people and doesn't others.
For context sake, I mean, I'm assuming Don usually tries to listen to the album of the week, right? Or is like exposed to it at some point, one way or another.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm curious, was this how did this reaction compare to the Judas Priest week?
Jack, like that one.
I think she probably only knows, the hits from Judas Priest, right? And likes them. Now, if she listened to the whole album, I'm sure it'd be somewhat mixed, but I
she
think
might
she'd
be
last.
into like Painkiller.
Yeah, she'd last longer on that than this one for whatever reason. But
Interesting.
No,
but I kinda get it.
respect.
No, actually, I think I do understand that, because I think Judas Priest is like more in Don's wheelhouse as far as like closer to maybe like a hair band, from the period versus more of a.
She's very
I don't wanna call it-
disinterested in her delivery.
shoegaze, but this like
It has been called that, especially on the first track.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Shoegaze,
close
yeah.
to shoegaze. Yeah.
Oh, we would? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say maybe like a third of the album is shoegaze.
Yep.
But like,
Yep.
I think
Okay.
it's literally the voice. I mean, I think we've all probably listened to a podcast or a book on tape where a person's voice just like, I can't stand it. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter what's coming out of their mouth. It's not hitting me right. And I think that it was just the voice for her.
Mhm.
Strange though.
It is. Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting for someone that's usually so welcoming. It was like, can't do it.
Yeah.
All right. Is there
Yeah.
any specific order Jason would like, or anyone would like to specify where they line up in the order? No.
I can kind of round it out, I guess, at the end. But
All right. That's typically what we do. So good. Does anyone?
Who has the strongest feelings? I think we should start with whoever thinks they have strong feelings about the band and the song.
Sure. Listen here. I'll just kick it off. All right.
Okay. Fine.
Does anyone and
The new part.
who wants to go next after me? Just anybody.
I'd love to.
Okay.
I'd love to.
there he is.
Okay. We'll end up with Bart. Okay. We'll go me, Dad, Cal, Bart, and then Jason. All right.
Awesome.
All right. So the first one, we are Antisocialites, Alvvays or Always. We just say Always. In Undertow is the first one, right? And for me, this is an interesting start to the album, to say the least. I feel so conflicted listening to this song. The music feels distorted just enough where you have to try really hard to make out the different instruments, for me, when I'm listening to it, and sounds that are happening. Like, if I'm trying to pick out in the song individual things, it's hard. It takes focus. Like, I am not easily picking it up. And that inherently pushes me to the lyrics instead, which and the vocals, which in this song I'm not inherently impressed by. Rankin sings in a very monotone way that to me sounds very lax and makes me feel like she's not in it very much. Which, if this was done on purpose to enhance the meaning of the story of the song, which is being a failed relationship, I can get that.
Hold on. Let me hop in here.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So, first of all, I 100% agree with you about this album is more of a vibe than it is like giving
100%.
than it is like giving any kind of individual person aside from the lead singer a spotlight. There's very few instrumental kind of breaks or solos, if any, and a lot of times it's like the rest of the band just kind of either creating that spacey atmosphere, or maybe it's just driving a punk beat, or there's probably like 3 or 4 archetypes on the album.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. The lyrics, you can look into it deep, whatever, but it like the root of it, it's like the repetitive, the no turning back, no turning back, no turning back. Like, to me, that is symbolizing like either, it's like making a decision or turning a corner or like taking the next step. It's a powerful lyric. Like, if you assign it to something, come on, and everybody's got to have something to assign that to. Like, I heard you're about to go full time, right?
Right.
Like, congrats. And
Thank
like, hey, there's no turning back now, dude. Like, I mean, maybe you can go back to part time. I don't know, but I mean, you're taking the next step. You know, you're making a move, and I don't know. As somebody who is also about to, and I guess kind of already has in the last few, like the last year, made a lot of big changes. I thought the lyrics resonated pretty hard with me.
Okay, sure. And I'm not saying the lyrics don't do that. It was mainly about the vocals and how it just came off kind of monotone and sounding very lax to me. Like, so it's not that I don't get the vibe. There are songs in here that I really get the vibe to. Like the next song, which I'll touch on, I feel is the second half of the same. It's the same story. It's about the same thing, and they sound similar. But to me, is so much better than this song for some reason. And there's not even that much different. But there's for some reason the next song is 100 times better for some reason. But let me finish on this song before we get to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do.
So for this, it just makes me feel like she's lax here for some reason when I'm listening to it. And when I'm listening to music, I want to feel an emotion, not a lack of emotion, which is for some reason what the song gives me, right? Although this song specifically greatly reminds me of the M83 song For the Kids, if you guys remember that one.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It does.
I mean, maybe like in like musically in the background,
Sure.
but like
And her
structurally,
voice when the
yeah,
mom
not.
comes in and the kid, they sound similar.
Okay, say you want to call it like lame or boring, and I'll say if you're associating it with the video where it's literally just her looking straight faced at the camera the whole time, like yes,
Doing
it's
like this.
it's like low energy and uninspired, but I don't know if you try not to be critical and like let your brain make it work for yourself. I look at it as more as like a voice of being like either resigned or just kind of like stoically determined, which
Sure.
doesn't necessarily need to have a ton of emotional tone to the voice. It can still be just like pounding forward, like just going ahead. Anyway.
Either way, this song's just not doing it for me. One thing I really do enjoy about the song, though, it's not all negatives, is the build up into the line, time to let go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I really like her vocal delivery on that. That's good. And there's a little build up musically. I like that part. It's very cool. And yeah, but the rest of it is just a little bit of a miss for me. But yeah.
It's kind of scary if you think that on the very first song, because what's it gonna be like when it comes to the 10th song?
Yeah.
I guess for a start, I thought her voice sounded really good on this track. I think the echo really worked with her voice. And looking back, I felt like, well, this is definitely one of the better vocal performances, really. Her tone is the best part of this song. The catchy chorus is great. There's some strong lyrics. The whole symbolism of, do we hold on to the wave or do we let go? Because right now we're just churning in this undertow and we're not going anywhere. So I love that whole meaning. I would say the music in a lot of songs, but this one right off the bat is like, Jack was kind of alluding to it. It just sounded kind of muddy, where the vocals didn't, but the music did. And I didn't know if that was by design or a poor mix or just my old ears. But in general, I thought this song was a really strong start.
So having no connection with this band, never hearing of this band before, looking at this strange album art that's on the cover, which I loved over time. At first I was like, oh, this is just some But no, it definitely grew on me over time. And this this first song is a great introduction. I would argue a great introduction into this band. It's got that beat. It has the sound, that super fuzzy guitar sound, but and at the end of the day, it's very much shoegaze music. And I've always been extremely on the fence with shoegaze music because I consider it in the same category as jam bands in that they're a lot of fun, but after work, they're sort of like mess around kind of music. Just because the sound can be either really sloppy or really muddy. Um, that being said, this is a consistent product throughout, and the whole track gets across what it needs to get across. Like musically, and vocally, there is a marriage which I can appreciate and I really, really like. I'm going to completely disagree with Dawn on this. I adore this female vocalist. I love her. I think she's great. Um, in that, she doesn't try to do anything too fancy or make more of the vocal or of the lyric than there actually is. She does the right amount of stuff with it. So I respect any artist who does that. Um, and the sound is interesting. Um, not my favorite by far, but this was for me, it was a solid B plus going into this. I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting ride. And it turns out it was.
Sure. I said a lot of what I wanted to say, just kind of trying to have a conversation with Jack. But I got a few things I'll add. I mean, to me, the biggest hit, like, biggest point of this song is the hook, is the chorus, is the no turning back. I mean, that is an earworm. That's what made me like gravitate right towards back this one right off the bat. There's definitely a few little things. I mean, like I said, I agree. The music is a little bit murky. The band's muddled together, but there are still some small things you can pick out if you really want to. Like there's some very, very subtle harmonizing that I wouldn't know was even happening if I hadn't watched the music videos to see that Velma actually does sing backup. That's
aptly said.
She's good, and it's very, very discreet. But I mean, it adds a layer to the onion. And then there's some. I really like the subtle lyric changes. Where it's the same cadence, the same syllables, but just it's slightly changed. Like from metaphorically to rhetorically, or it's like I don't want to bet on the moon, or the phases of is like psychology, or
I can't buy into astrology and won't rely on the moon for anything. That's one of my favorite lines in the whole album, to be honest.
So there's some great ones in there, and like I said, it's got the poppiness for the hook, but I do think it's more of a vibe, and the album is like that too. This is a spacey track. We're gonna have a few of those, and I'm a big fan of that kind of music, especially I think it appeals to people who don't mind sparking up a J every once in a while after work, like Kale said, and that probably adds to it as well. So this one had me right away. I thought, oh wow, we got a Bart pick for an album, and
yeah, I said the same thing. I said the exact same.
I knew I was. I guess I didn't know. I figured I was going to enjoy this one after.
I'm surprised, I guess, with Dawn and Jack's takes towards the delivery. I mean, I can see kind of it's a bit disinterested, but I guess in my mind that the pairing with these, it's not necessarily on this song the lyrics are clever necessarily, but they're kind of these sometimes abstract themes or just interesting adjectives, and they're being paired with this kind of floating, I mean, as you said, monotone delivery, to me, just kind of that's what fills it with the emotion, and it almost lets the interpreter kind of give it their own emotion, because you could take this as a heartbreak song, or you could take it as like we're taking the next step, like we've been here, we're taking another step, like in my this was in probably like my top 3 songs, I think, on this album. I really like this song. It comes in waves, similar to the name of the song in terms of the music behind it, the way you talk about the build into that let go. I think the instruments might become a bit muddied just because it's kind of shoegazy, and you've got a keyboard and then 2 really fuzzy guitars. Molly's playing guitar and there's a lead guitarist, so you've just got a lot of layers in there that then just kind of all playing chords muddy up. And if you watch a live performance or anything like that, a lot of the time when the guitarist is playing, he's got his hand on the whammy bar the whole time he's strumming, so it's just really, really like it's not making concrete noise every note he strums. So yeah, I mean, it does flow really nicely into the next song though, Dreams Tonight. So I guess if Jack, you wanted to move on into that.
Hold on. That I gotta say some more stuff. You gotta give me that one moment.
Oh, I didn't realize.
I need to. Hey, everybody's gotta know. You gotta give that 1 second pause. See if anybody wants to pop in. It's probably just me, but could be somebody else. Who knows? So first, I want to say, even though we all kind of agreed that the music maybe sounded a little bit muddled at one point or another, I want to clarify, at least for me, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying I don't like that, or that takes points away. It's just an observation where normally I would pick out, like, who knows, a tambourine or a triangle or whatever the hell it might be. But, even though it's muddy, like, I think that's part of...
Well, especially coming from that New Abnormal, where you could pick every instrument out on that album easily. Right. That mixing was incredibly well done. So,
and I think that's a Rick Rubin thing too, is like clarity from whatever elements are in the song. But I don't know. I just wanted to say that, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I think music is at its most powerful when you're associating it with personal experience, right? Whether that's looking back nostalgically at a time period in your life that you relate music to, or specific moments, or music you use for certain activities, like working out or whatever it might be. And I think that's part of the reason number 1 is strong. I agree, because like I already explained, it's easy for me to, it's like a blank canvas ready for association.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that was awesome. And there's a lot of opinions on the last song, so I just want to take a tiny bit of break and talk about a little something else, just the tiny things. So during my interview, we talked a little bit about the podcast for my full-time job, and then evidently one of them gave it a listen, and I got an email the day after.
No way.
I got an email the day after. And this one's going directly to Kale, because they said, "Hey, just gave Parker Millsap a listen. I'm loving it. Thank you for the introduction." And that's what this podcast is all about, baby. It's introducing you to new music.
It's about promotions.
It's
about introducing people to Parker Millsap.
Go Parker.
Yo, I've actually got a Parker Millsap shout out in my notes for later on. So
okay.
So buckle up to that. He's not done for tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a cool little story. That's what this is all about. I mean, that's what this is about. We're introducing music. Anyways, Dreams Tonight. As I said, I think this is a much better half to the same story in Undertow. They're both, I think, about probably the same heartbreak and a failed relationship, I'm assuming. But the vibes are strong in this track. This one, especially for me, I'm vibing with. And I kind of mentioned it again last time, but whilst I was comparing this song with the last, I would come up with very few differences than I would like to. because of the two very different reactions I had to them, it's frustrating to me why I cannot pinpoint what it is that is ringing that bell for me. If I had to place a finger on it, and I'm not even sure this is it, but if I were forced to, it would just be the lyrics, I think, for this song are just so much better to me than the last song. They stood out to me more. There was just something about it that would have to be what it is. The chorus especially establishes the dreamlike feeling of the song, and that the central vibe stems from that. It stems from that dreamlike kind of chorus where, you know, she talks about dreams. So, I mean, it's just off. So for me, this is kind of the start of the album rather than the last song. Just for some reason, this one tickled me so much more than the last one did.
Yeah, that's confusing. A little bit, because yeah, I'd say this one's a little stronger, but they were pretty much in the same category for me. But we're all different. So there's one synapse maybe not connecting for you over
Maybe.
there. You should have it checked out.
Okay.
This is
Wow.
this song is pretty hypnotic. That chorus is so simple and effective, and that's what, to me, great songs are about. You know, I go back to the AC/DC easy guitar rhythm that other people, if it's so easy, why isn't everybody doing it? Because it's not that easy. And this song has that. It's simple and good. Some people might say this is too repetitive. I don't. It's such a wonderful hook. It just takes you along. And I'm trying to think as I'm listening, okay, what would I be doing just 2 songs in where I'd want to listen to this band? And I'm thinking, posted on the couch, flipping through a magazine or something, and this in the background, and I'm chilling and having a nice time. For the right mood, a really, really nice song.
Yeah. Well, I found it strange before we get into Kale here, how the hell you got from Alvvays to AC/DC.
That's valid. Totally.
I don't see any form of connection there at all.
I mean, he said the simple lyric, yeah, like the simple hook, I guess.
The guitar,
I want to rock.
Okay.
They'll say anybody can play AC/DC guitar parts because they're so simple.
Okay.
And yet nobody else is banging out songs like they are with these great hooks. That's obviously not the heaviness of it or the genre.
Yeah.
Even.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to.
All right. Glad we clarified that.
Bad example. Okay.
As a matter of fact,
Mr. Bad Example.
I would say that they're complete opposites with all safety. Those two bands are like polar.
No. You're missing a synapse as well.
Everybody's missing a synapse here.
Except me.
I think I keep losing them. Closed my eyes at the end of In Undertow. I waited for the next track to come on. I'm sitting there and this beat starts and I'm like, all right, I'll get into this a little bit. And then the beat picks up a little bit more, and then the lyrics come in, and then the chorus happened. And the first and only thing that I thought was, no, Mark is going to love this song because
for sure,
because it has a great hook, and really I think there is something to the simplicity of this one in contrast to the first track on the album. It's all there. If I saw you in the street, would I see you in my dreams tonight? That's that's a thought in and of itself. And it's beautifully put, and it says so much by saying so little. Just to fill my time, because I didn't write a whole lot on this song because I liked it so much. I've been listening to a lot of this, obviously, and then Outlaw Country. I've been listening to a lot of that. And I think the comparison that I would make, not quite in the AC/DC way, but the simplicity in the songwriting, and the ability to say so much with so little, I think is something that I'm growing to appreciate. And I think this song um, is a perfect example, and I would argue a template for any other indie artist to try and copy, because this has radio playability, in my opinion. Normally, I would be opposed to that, but in this case, it's so fresh and such a beautiful and unique take that I'm totally okay with it, and I love it. I like this song a lot.
Yeah, and something about the way you talked about simplicity, I think reconnected my synapse because now I see the connection between Dreams Tonight by Alvvays and Big Balls by AC/DC. It's just the simplicity, you know.
Lyrically, I
Were you
think you're trying to say the same thing. I realize that. But this outlaw country thing is totally off base. I don't know where that's coming from. Waylon and Willie and the boys. I don't get it.
How dare you? I love that song. I love that song.
All right, go ahead, Bart.
I don't even know what we're talking about. Like,
He's like, did you listen to the same album as me?
oh, I mean, we're already listening to dreamy ass music. We're talking about like 12 different bands and the 7 degrees of separation between each one. And I'm just a little bit overwhelmed. No, so very, very similar to the first one for me. I would argue a little bit weaker for me, but that's not to say it's a weak track by any means. I'd still say one of the better ones on the album. There's a few lines in this one that are really good, and they do the similar thing to the first song where they keep the lines similar and just change the lyrics a little bit. My favorite is "Who Starts a Fire Just to Let It Go Out." Love that. And I think, I always like to, similarly to you, at least for this song, Mark, visualize what's my ideal listening scenario for this song or album or whatever, and I think this song is a perfect song for being lovesick, but like when you're lovesick in a happy way, like when you're pining for someone. Parker Millsap shout out. Something like
There we
that.
go.
Pining alert.
Great. A couple other things. There's a super low key, I think it's a synth in the background on this one. If you want to pick out a little music nug, that's really nice. And I loved YouTube for this one because this is the one that gave me, that turned me on to the fact that Daphne and Velma were band members. Thanks to the visuals and the comments, of course. But also, the comments on these guys' videos are just full of gems. I'm curious, did you guys watch the videos or go through those at all?
No.
I've seen the videos, and I think the video for this perfectly, if you guys are talking about the mood for this, that the mood they have of all these pastel colors in this 1970s amusement park in Eastern Canada or whatever, and that they've just superimposed themselves onto. It's mesmerizing to me to watch. I'm a little biased. I'm in love with the lead singer of this band. I think she's amazing. So, yeah.
It's out.
Understandably
Yeah,
so.
it's out.
Women that are very talented musically get bonus points, that's for sure. Yeah, go ahead, man. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this one.
There's a lot of talk. The repetitiveness, I definitely agree, and I think what really saves this song for me and why I feel like I've listened to this so many times, and I feel like every time they hit you with the chorus in this song, they layer a new piece on top of it, especially once you get to the end and she's layering herself onto, and she does this a lot in a lot of songs. Not My Baby is, I think, another one, but she'll layer herself singing on top of it, and then in like a live performance or something, Bart talked about Velma, and I think the drummer also does some stuff, and she does this really nice, like, just melodic singing over the top of the very last chorus, which really is just this really nice payoff to the entire song. And so I think that saves it for me. And otherwise, I do agree the chorus would get very, very repetitive if they weren't changing something up with each iteration they hit you with it, because I think they hit it, they do the chorus many times in this song. And to me, this is, like you guys said, the most radio like visible one I think there is on this album. I think this is like the single, you know what I mean? If you were to pick one song from this album, Dreams Tonight is the most like prepackaged, like you show this to almost anyone, and I guess other than Dawn, most people would not hate this song. So
talk about synapses missing.
Yeah. So yeah, it also kind of is the end to, as Jack said, this two-parter of In Undertow and Dreams Tonight, right before you get into Plimsoll Punks, where the vibe starts to change just a little bit. It kind of goes in back and forth between that shoegaze and that sort of like lo-fi, almost punk.
Yeah,
sort
it's
of
definitely borderline punk. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So
okay, I know we're about to change. I got to say one more thing because I want you guys to think about this. I talked to Mark about this when he came down the other day. I got something I want to do going forward. So think about this as we go through the rest of the album. I'd like to do with every album, we rate them, sure, but I'd also like to, we got to pick one song from the album where we decide, like every album that gets made, only one song gets kept off it, and the rest of the album gets jammed into the music abyss, like it no longer exists. So you can only preserve one song off the album,
Okay.
and we'll have to
Make a
come to an
playlist.
agreement.
Okay.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
So there's no like each individual pick. You'll make your points, you'll argue it, and then we decide if we're gonna only leave one standing. There can only be one. Which
Got
one?
it.
Got it. Cool.
Cool.
So if there's one left standing, I'm kidding.
Jason touched on this thing about singles. I'm not sure. Does this band have singles? Because I'm looking through their Spotify, and it doesn't look like, at least from Spotify, they release singles.
No. I mean, the first album, if I don't know if you guys listened to it at all, it almost sounds just like a demo tape. You know what I mean? Like if you're talking about the mix being muddy on this, I mean that one is like it's way more kind of jangle pop than this one is, but they pretty much just have these two albums on an indie label, and I think what they do mostly is tour, and
Like
so they'll
live.
play these songs 2 years in advance before they just kind of pick their favorites and put them on an album. So
Yeah,
that's kind of how it goes.
I think I caught on to that with Your Type. I was listening to it, and they said that was the hardest to write because they had been playing it for so long that it was hard to kind of go back to the drawing board with it. But I guess we can touch on that when we get to that. Anyways, Plimsoll Punks. It's nice to hear something that is not so mono from Rankin, for sure. To hear something a little bit different. I really enjoy
Rankin.
That's her last name.
Yeah,
Rankin. Molly Rankin.
Yeah.
Holy. Is his name like Sam?
John Rankin. Like I said at the beginning of this, there's like a Celtic folk band that's
the Rankin family.
kind of big, and she would
Rankin
go like
family.
on tour buses with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He died in a car crash, but yeah.
Good. I checked out their stuff.
So yeah,
Gail.
I did. I looked. You got to see him live. All right, for those of you who are playing tic tac toe at home or playing Kale Bingo.
Yeah, so Plimsoll Punks, I really enjoy the bridge. There's just something about the cadence of the first and third lines that really gets me. That's the what is that? I don't remember off the top of my head the lyrics, but the first and third
racking my brain.
no of the verses. I think there's something about the cadence of the first and third lines of the verses is what it is. Maybe I don't remember. That really gets
Your posture is blocking out any possible light. That
Boom.
one?
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the bridge, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The cadence that she has on the first and third lines of those verses, I really enjoy. There's the switch from the nice cheery bridge into the more grunge rock of the verse sounds, and both music and voice is appreciated. It's subtle, but it's there. I also like the sound of the outro, though I'm not sure what the purpose of it is. It kind of fades to nothing and then comes in with this little like kind of techie kind of sound that's weird and doesn't go into the next song really. So I was confused on what purpose it served. But at first, for the longest time, I thought it was just another track that was just like intermission or something, like it was an instrumental. And I'm like, oh, it's the end of the song. What? Anyways, yeah. Maybe it was just them being punky, breaking the rules. And I really like the song, and I'm kind of racking my brain for more to say on it, but
All right.
I can't find anything else. Overall, I enjoy this tune.
Hey, just pass it off, and when it pops back in your brain, just interrupt somebody.
Hey, thanks, man. I just set
That's
it up
what
for the
Bart
joke.
does.
You know that, right? But yeah, I enjoy it because it doesn't sound the same as the last two songs. I like how there was a transition from something else. Not that I didn't like the sound of the last two songs that I touched on. I like the last song especially.
Yeah.
I just like the switch up, how it's not 10 tracks of the same sound.
Yeah. We've already mentioned the great line in this one, which is so abstract. Posture, blocking out any possible light. I wish I could think like that. It's a goal of mine to think more in that way with what little time I have left. Who was it? Was it you? Was it you, Jack, that said we were at a Maid-Rite and the shake tasted funny?
Oh, yeah, we were at a Maid-Rite. I got a shake, and the shake tasted like what paint smells like.
The shake tasted like wet paint smells. And
Yeah, I
I'm
got
like, what the hell are you talking about, son? And
I got it.
take a drink. We tried it, and damned if that wasn't true. But that abstraction is just, I am blown away by people that can write like this. So love that. Chorus is very nice. You're getting me down, getting me down, getting me down. It's repetitive, so I like it. I don't know who this sneaker asshole is, Mr. Plimsoll, but he or she is definitely getting her down. I really enjoyed the first half of the song, and then it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. I'd be interested if anybody else feels the same way. It goes off on a little bit of a tangent, loses some momentum. That's okay. It's like they haven't figured it all out yet, but that can always be interesting. But from the pop DJ perspective, wrecked it. You wrecked your chance of radio air. With that second half, sorry.
Plimsoll Punk, yeah. I like the vibe of this song overall very, very much. I like the kind of like cheerful, skippy kind of 80s beat. I'm noticing something in it seems to me in indie music, and especially like not what I would consider indie music, but more of the, dare I say, pop indie music. It's very it's very reminiscent of the 80s and the 80s sound, especially with the synthesizers and the layering and complex um, uh, arrangements and so on. Cool. It's got that cool kind of like post-punk sound, which is also kind of a popular thing right now. Um, the guitar riffs, the little guitar riffs before, I believe, is it? I think it's either at the end of one of the verses or it's before a chorus. But I was like, oh, that's delightful. I really like that. That's wonderful.
Is it the really quick, like the din and din
No,
and
no, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I really enjoy that. And it's a nice, interesting break from the sound which they've created. Which, by the way, may I say, from the first track, it does not sound as muddy here to me. For some reason, as I kept listening, the sound got clearer, and maybe that's just my brain every time I listen to it. But this one definitely was way more clear, and I think I appreciated it way more. The "I can barely breathe" part, I really, really, really like. And I think we talked a little bit about that. Um, but yeah, this sneaker guy, no jerk,
Punk. Yeah.
punk,
Totally.
yeah,
Downer.
downer, man.
right. Absolutely. The guitar melody highlight of the song, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I assume it's melody. Maybe it's the rhythm guitar. I guess I don't know exactly what you call it, but that's the best part. And yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this one. We've already talked about the punkness. I think it's kind of funny that Plimsoll's. When I hear Plimsoll, I think of Converse, like Chuck Taylor's, which kind of a punk shoe, to go with a kind of a punk song. I don't know, it all makes sense. Very different sound than the Dream State, though, but I think that's part of one of the good things about the album is they kind of, flip back and forth on each side of this coin. You start out a couple dreamy, spacey songs, then we're going to get a couple punk ones here, then we're going to flip back over, and it's going to kind of keep going back and forth to, keep your attention before you fall asleep for a nap or something. And I think that's great. Only other thing here, have any of you guys ever said or like used or heard someone use the phrase like that it's getting you down or getting them down? Because I mean, I really like the phrase, and I feel like it's used not frequently, but like occasionally in music, but I don't really hear it in normal conversation. I feel like it's kind of awkward to use in normal speaking.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever use the phrase "that's getting me down."
Right. Or like, hey, you're getting me down, man.
It's usually bringing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like you bring me down, ELO. I think it's what we use in normal speak is you're a downer would be more of what we use, and then we describe the person in music as as what they're doing is bringing you down. I don't think that's something we say, although there has been an upcoming phrase where we say that people are down bad.
Down bad.
Bad when they're not getting it.
Well, I mean, Plimsoll Punk is definitely down bad, dude.
Or like when a girl has rejected them, man, they're down so bad, that kind of thing.
I think like you guys are hitting on the guitar in this one is definitely the closest. I've touched on it before. The first album has a lot of these guitar riffs that open and close songs and are interspersed beneath. And in this, I think it's a lot more atmospheric than it is showcasing any sort of guitar riffs. But this song and a few others on the album kind of give the guitar a few seconds of the spotlight, and this one kind of ties it back towards that. Like you guys said, a little bit more upbeat than the other ones. The first one that's upbeat after, comparatively, and to me, I go back and forth to this song. I mean, I like every song on this album, but this one is. I guess when I turn to this album, I don't really turn to it to like get pumped up per se. So a lot of the pump up songs on this album are going to be not necessarily my favorite. Your Plimsoll Punks, your type, Lollipop, but because I turn to it for songs like Dreams Tonight and Undertow and Forget About Life. So sort of when I think about this album in my mind, so I'm kind of in it more for, I guess, that spacey atmospheric vibe than the punk vibe, but it's still a great song, and I like what everyone said about it. I pretty much agree with what everyone said about it. So we can move right on into Your Type, which is my least favorite on the album.
Oh, hang on. I would be remiss if I didn't tell everybody about the band, the Plimsolls. It's an 80s band, but they spell their name Plimsoul.
Oh,
Clever
isn't that
fellas.
clever?
Yes, on Geffen Records and Tapes. Something you might want to check out. Just shout out to the Plimsolls, man.
Okay.
He's underwhelmed.
Okay.
You know, like
Timeless 80s classic.
what kind of music it is, or
yeah, like you wanna
What's that?
you want to
say,
tell
like,
me like what kind of music
The
it is?
tie with Plimsoll was enough to get anyone hooked.
Yeah.
they have the same name.
It's spelled differently.
They also like sneakers.
They're kind of a pop indie band, in an 80s kind of way. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, Your Type, a very quick vibe. 2 minutes, very short. It feels even shorter when you're listening to it. I love the sound of the bridge instrumental. I'm not sure if it's classified as the bridge, but it's an instrumental before the bridge, so I just say that. And the blood type line is a very smart lyric to again state that she will never be your type, as she has said 1,000 times already. It's a super quick and bright song. It's hard to say much about this because it's so short and it's actually pretty repetitive. And I can get why it's Jason's least favorite. It's pretty poppy, and also it's the least chill vibe of the album, pretty much. So it kind of sticks out, maybe like a little bit of a sore thumb. So like, if I was listening to this to do the chill stuff, I would probably skip the last two songs, this song and the last one, just because it's like I'm trying to chill out and vibe and be hypnosed. So like
Hypnotized.
Yeah, hypnotized.
Hypnosed.
Hypnosis.
I like that though.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah. Okay.
Hypnosed.
And I read that this one is the hardest for them to write for some reason, because apparently they had been playing for it for so long. Like they had said, apparently they don't do singles; they just kind of play it in live shows and then kind of do an album. And so it was hard for them to go back to the drawing board and kind of alter it, which I guess I can see if you had been playing it for so long a certain way, for it to change it a little bit for the album. I guess I can see that, but anyways. Yeah, I think it was a fine song.
Yeah, it's a little frenetic. Some different phrasing, that's a no-no for me. Fun little number though. I don't know. I think this probably goes over better live than recorded.
Mm-hmm.
When you can feel that energy. The lyrics for sure are the best part, in my estimation. Basically, the most passive aggressive lyrics ever. She's like, what she's not saying, but she is saying, is that the subject will never be the singer's type. She's just putting it nicely by reversing it. But you get the vibe that this dude's acting like an idiot. He'll never be my type, but I'm just saying I'll never be his type. But frankly, don't want to be. So,
see, I don't get
I thought
that.
That's cute.
But
okay.
That's cool that you. It's kind of interesting how we.
What do you get then, Jack,
see.
from this?
I see that she wants to be his type, but she will never be his type. She wants to be the type that will act a certain way to be his type. So in a sense, we're
when-
kind of both saying the same thing. How they both aren't each other's type. Like she wants to be his type because she kind of likes him, but they're not the right type for each other.
So you think she likes with vomit at your feet, clamoring bon
Yeah.
appetit?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on Mark's, but I can
mean,
see it. I mean,
have you listened to Lollipop? It's kind of the type of guy
yeah,
that she's
yeah. I
into.
mean, I know I see what you're saying about the desire to what I guess be a bit more edgy or wild.
Yeah.
Because she definitely has in all interviews and as a front woman is like a very reserved, sort of shy. I mean, the album's Antisocialites, so you know, I could see it like that. Yeah, a desire for a different lifestyle, but kind of, I guess, at your core being sort of unable to be that type of person.
Right.
Yeah.
Valid, not as valid as mine.
Oh,
but,
okay.
yeah,
Synapse must be a synapse
I'll take
thing.
it. I'll look. It must be a synapse. Great kind of throwback sound. Just with the beat, it was kind of an homage to those earlier kind of indie alternative sounds like the Smiths or the Cure. I kind of dug that. Too short to say a lot. The key change that kind of happens towards the end of the track is interesting. But unfortunately, it's a great little song, but it's just not memorable.
Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting you to be that short, but I'm going to be about the same. Same, I'm really glad that everybody's kind of agreeing that it's got that punk sound. I was a little bit nervous going in, acting like I know anything about music and I'm like identifying stuff, but it's kind of got like a scratchy sound and like it's a little disjointed and those I don't know, it's got that punk sound, but yeah, I mean it's not a bad track. It's very unabrasive, but it's unremarkable to me.
Yeah, I mean, I said, I guess, a little bit of my piece already on it, so we can kind of just breeze right on over, just like the track, over to Not My Baby, which might be my favorite on the album.
Well,
so speak carefully.
keeping the jury guessing.
I
our
will
end of the
not.
pod.
So I really enjoy the sound of the intro, and the motorcycle sound driving away is a nice touch, especially
kind of going through, yeah.
Especially for the story of the song of another failed relationship. But pretty much as soon as she sings the line, "I'll go do whatever I want," I am out. Just the way that she slurs the words into each other and ends on the very hard T sound grinds my gears to no end.
It really grinds my gears.
Makes my hair stand up on my skin in not a good way. I mean, for people who know me, it's something about the speech, especially, and now I'm listening for it, that comes in the back of an S sound or the end of a T. Oh, if it's really enunciated, I hate it. It's a pet peeve of mine. I can't stand it. It's something that I can't get past it. Which is the same for the song because I pretty much like everything else about the song, but it's that line and she says it 3 times and it takes me out every time. And it's not her fault by any means. By any means, it's not her fault. It's completely mine. I love the "I don't care" lines. It sounds so dismissive and she sounds like she doesn't care, which is awesome. And the whole vibe, I enjoy it, but I just can't bring myself past those lines. It's just because of that the slur and then the whole sound. It's just it's like me and Alanis Morissette. We have gone over it. We did the album. I know people like Alanis Morissette. I know it's good, but it's the little things she does makes me, I can't stand it. I can't listen to it. It's just there's something about it. I can't do it. It's just it makes my skin crawl. I can't do it. This song I can't.
I refuse. I can't.
Well, in a past life, I might say something here like, Well, Jason's hoping to get his gears ground by Molly Rankin, so maybe he likes the fact that she's pronouncing that T the way she is, or something. I don't know. I
That past life now?
whoops. Maybe
You just
somebody.
said it.
Yeah, right.
No, he would say it. That's the difference.
Oh, okay. I see. Yep, that makes sense.
Maybe somebody would like Alanis Morissette to have her go down on him in a theater. I don't know.
What connection are we making here?
That's a line in one of the songs.
If your synapses are working properly, you'll get the connection.
Oh my.
This has a great melody. This song, some terrific lyrics. These lyrics are tremendous. And if you're into ethereal, you'll definitely dig this. But yeah, for sure, her vocal performance and the dismissiveness, I think is great. Love that. About a relationship that's come and gone, like a fading radio. And then one of the lines I like is the lake that was frozen over so long ago. Ouch.
Not My Baby. This is I was very confused as to what this song was in the first couple of listens because I wasn't sure if it was a ballad or not. There's like they really toe this middle ground of like, am I supposed to be sad? Am I supposed to be happy? It's a choice. It's an artistic choice, and I'll go with it. Strangely enough, I dig the instrumentals on this one. There's like this weird, I don't know, is it a bridge? I can't remember, but there's an instrumental part where the guitar and the violin and the synth maybe it sounds like one thing. It sounds like a stringed instrument of some kind, and it's just wonderful. And I love that. Of course, we've already talked about the lyrics, which are very dismissive. Dismissive is a great word for them. Definitely not my favorite. Sorry, Jason, but definitely not one that I don't hate. I don't hate it at all. I actually enjoyed it.
What's going on? What I see, I must be dreaming. Okay, this is how I know the music is reflecting my actual state because I just had to listen to, of all people, Mark being the biggest advocate for this song of the three who went before me, and then I had to hear two of the most lukewarm bullshit takes on an epic banger on this track. Like what? Over like what? Somebody who can't get past the voice. What, did you even listen to it more than twice? I mean, if you did, I don't know how it couldn't grow on you a little bit. And I'm not even gonna address the other words that were said right before mine. So now that I'm done with this piece, because anyway, let's talk about the song. So right off the bat, it doesn't allude at all to what you're going to get. It's a very slow opening. It honestly sounds a lot to me. I mean, yeah, it's still setting that ethereal, spacey tone, but it actually sounded a lot to me like modern worship music. Like from when I had been starting to go back to church last, and I was like, what is this going to be? But thankfully, that's not what it turns into. It turns into way bigger than that. But come on, I mean,
let's your worship service have a random motorcycle noise at the beginning of it?
Driving by outside.
Well, there were a lot of wild cards there, let me tell you. So, and it was a live band. So, anyway, okay, so I'm coming in with a hot take here, especially compared to those last few lukewarm ones. But this checks a lot of Bart boxes. We got falsettos, we got spacey music, we have so many tasty little musical nuggets in here. I mean, you know I was gonna love this one. Let's see. I got a million things I can say about it. As far as the musical nuggets, because I know you're probably wondering what the hell I'm talking about there. There's Kale, I think I know you're talking about on some like different things coming together to make a certain sound. For me, there's a lot of little guitar and bass parts that are buried just kind of under the surface while other things are going on that are doing some really, really neat stuff. But the best part of this song to me is her intonation. Like, to argue with Jack, like especially as she's saying the whatever I want. Like I just imagine. I know it doesn't sound exactly like it, but the way her voice changes, I imagine her saying it like with a really loose face, and I can't help but whenever I sing along to like sing along in a goofy way, like, and especially because it goes from such a high pitch to like dropping down so many more steps into that. It's just like I can't help but go like whatever I want and like just flop my face around while I'm singing. This song has so many great singable moments, like with her notes in it. I mean, this is maybe the biggest banger on the album. I think Jay and I have similar taste.
It must be, because I mean, like he was talking about these nuggets. I mean, that part after the sort of bridge with the "you sought an eye for an eye" and all that, and it sort of cuts out for about a second or two, and then the drums kick back in, and you get one last kind of layered chorus at the end. Is just an, I mean, it really just, I mean, the motorcycle, it takes you on the ride, it kind of starts out like like he was saying, a little bit softer. You kind of are trying to test the waters of, is this going to be one of the punk ones? Is this going to be one of the atmospheric ones? And I think I think some of you are trying to label these songs as, okay, it has to be a heartbreak song. It has to be a looking positive towards the future song. And I just feel like there's so many times, and relationships have a lot of gray area, and they don't end cleanly, and a lot of them. And so I feel like it allows you to put, as I've said, your own interpretation of like, well, when was a situation where I felt like this song, you know what I mean? And there's multiple times you could say that about, multiple different scenarios, romantic or not. So I just I like that it kind of leaves a little bit of that room for interpretation, both in the delivery of the song and the lyrical content of the song. So this one is just one that every time I listen to it, it never gets skipped for me. I just always, I'm always up for the ride. Once that motorcycle noise kind of goes from one earbud into the next earbud, it's just like I'm ready to go. And I think Jack said on, I think it's the end of Plimsoll Punks, there's a lot of at the very end of that, it has that, they made the joke that it's gelato rock because it's like an ice cream truck van noise that they basically the keyboardist is basically playing this like old timey keyboard sort of noise over a lot of the songs that they kind of, that kind of is a constant theme throughout. And so to me, it's just kind of like when I hear that motorcycle now, when I think of gelato rock, I just think of an ice cream truck driving by, to be honest. But yeah.
Okay. I forgot to say one last thing. Just because this is another song, part of the reason I loved it so much was because it was another one that was really easy for me to associate with something. And the idea now, like just on the absolute base level of reading the lyrics for exactly what they are, like, now that you're not my baby, like I go do whatever I want. And to me, that's super relatable to a feeling of like getting out of a relationship that was maybe pretty controlling. You didn't get to see the boys as much, maybe you weren't going out, maybe you weren't getting the game as much as you wanted. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, now I'm going to go do whatever I want. And I don't know, this song just kind of has a mood to it to me of also, I don't know, I don't know if like smugness is the right word, but whatever adjective you want to associate with the scenario I just described.
Right,
That's
so you
that's
can
what this.
do whatever or whoever you want
Well-
is what you were alluding
Well,
to.
also, Jack, the fact that you're getting hung up on these T's at the end of I had not once ever thought of that. And I am someone who, if you have an extra long
I don't know
S,
what you're talking about.
if you have an extra long S, I do agree. Sometimes when somebody just at the end of these things and it's caught on a reverb or something like that, and you just are like, ugh. But like, I mean, you're listening to that song 30 minutes ago. They told me put my heart in a bag so nobody gets hurt.
That's a
All
joke.
these songs, there's a million songs. I guarantee you there's a million songs you've recommended that end in a T. So
Right.
it just must be something in your brain is like clicking and you've noticed it one time. And now every time you hear it, it has to just be this like, it just like your brain clicks it together every time and you can't avoid it. But that's just a take.
And listen, I acknowledged that it's completely my fault why I can't like the song, right? I did that. And it's not just I don't know if you kind of alluded to this where it's just in songs where this S sound gets caught in reverb. No, it's not even that. It's in anyone speaking. If their S's last too long or too pronounced, I'm over it. I'm leaving the conversation. I can't do it. Like there are times, and I've talked to it. My mom unfortunately has this thing where her S's are too pronounced, and sometimes if I'm in a not great mood, I'm over it. You don't talk to me for the rest of the day, Mom. Don't talk to me. I can't do it. Unfortunately, it's sad. It's sad, and it's just something about my brain that I can't do. I don't know what it is.
Spastic synaptic disease.
All right.
I believe is the name for it. Pretty sure. But I kind of get what
You're just trying to trigger me.
I get what you're
Spastic.
saying. Have you people who do an SH sound instead of an S? Strong. He's really strong. That bothers the hell out of me. I mean, the SH. So I kind of get what you're saying, but I
That's
never
gonna be
picked up on it.
so rare.
yeah.
I never picked up on it on that song at all. But anyway, I do. Before we move on, I do want to say, I don't know about the rest of you, but tomorrow morning, first thing when I get in my car, I'm dialing up XM to Gelato Rock and driving into work. That's gonna be so sweet. Can't wait.
Okay, what do we have next? Hey?
Hey is next.
All right. This song is so weird, man. There are not in like a bad. This is a bad song. It's just strange. Like there are so many tiny little things she does that make it weird. Okay, before any of y'all jump out of your seat with your pitchfork and torches and start throwing them at me, there are so many weird things she does.
Who are you talking about? Who you directing that at?
You and Kale. You and Kale. Kale goes, and you go. Slump over like you just got shot, and Kale just witnessed it.
It was Jackie and John right there for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, too soon.
There are so many little things she does, like the weird accent on only the word little. She does it once. There's a tiny little accent she does on little. Just it's so small. And then the human being line sounding like a robot. And then the line before that where she shoves in as many words as she can in that line before the line
I'll
ends.
probably leave the house for a while.
Yeah, why? Like I don't dislike it, but I'm like I don't necessarily like it either. It's just so strange. I don't know how to feel about it. There's so many weird things coming at me. I'm like, what do I do with this song? It's like that Billy Joel song where for some reason he turns into a vampire for one phrase. Like, why does he do that? Like, it's Big Shot. We have to be a big shot. DJ. Like, why does he do that? And she does it 4 times in the song. Like 4 different things. So it's strange. I don't know what to say about this song. It's just so weird. Ugh.
And yet you love Billy Joel.
He does it once.
This thing comes on and I'm like, whoa, 80s much? This song to me sounds like, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the Bangles, but this is like bad Bangles. I've enjoyed quite a few of these songs, but this is like hair that's been teased too long, kind of a mess. I didn't get much out of this, to say.
Well, here it goes. Here's the moment where Mark and I start to diverge a little bit. I think I have one word to describe this song, and it begins with a B and ends with an anger. This song is great. I
Banger alert!
banger alert! Banger alert!
Wait.
This song is
no button. Can I veto bangers? Who's got executive power over bangers?
We have, I think we have the majority.
I will stand by this damn song. I don't know what it is. Yes, it is too corny. Yes, it sounds like the 80s bad hairdo, but there is just something about it that when it comes on, it makes me smile, and I really like it. And it's probably my favorite song on the album. I love it. I just love it. The beat is fantastic. The bass is murderous. It's just great. It's just great. When she sings Over Now, I mean, come on. The powerhouse vocal right there. It's one of her better vocal moments. This song is a slapper. I'll do slapper.
Yeah,
That
slapper.
song.
There we go. Slapper notification.
Haley, you have your own signature. You know, you got you're the CEO of Slappers.
Did you mean Skipper? I think you mean
Skipper.
I think I want to touch on that 80s sound really quick. I think what you guys are referring to is that thing at the start that sounds very reminiscent of I Ran by Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah, like whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, there's a little noise they use too in that song.
Yeah.
That they use in this one. I don't know.
Well, I think in the Flock of Seagulls song, isn't that noise by they just I think rub like the pick up and down the string,
It's a
it
muted string, yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
All right. Sure. Bart, you got anything to say about this
song? All right,
song?
boss banger.
Slapper.
I head banger in chief. I don't know. We'll shop that. I don't have a ton of this one. Kale, thank you, Kale, for acknowledging what I think has to be her biggest vocal moment on the album with the Over Now. It's like, I'm a little bit surprised nobody else mentioned that, especially because most of her vocals are so level throughout the rest of the album. Like,
you're sleeping on Saved by a Waif.
Like
you're
one of the big.
Saved by a Waif is a pretty crazy one too. But yeah. I would agree. Over Now.
I don't know. It's a big one. Other than that, I don't know. I have a ton. I don't have a ton. I was a little surprised. You know, I was talking about the YouTube comments earlier, and there were like multiple comments on Plimsoll Punk of people saying that it sounded like a Beatles song, and I didn't think so at all. Like for Plimsoll Punk, I didn't get that at all. But for this song, I actually did get Beatles vibes from this song, and not in like the structure of the song or like poppiness, but I think it's something about the guitar to me. It gives me some kind of Beatles vibe. But anyway, that's all I got.
What Mark was talking about earlier with the wanting to have lyrics, you know, like just the brain to think of this. I mean, hold a brush to your white toothpaste is such a weird way of phrasing, you know, such a mundane activity. Just that the whole opening to the song. This is a song that I think if you would have asked me 2 months ago, I think this was one of my lesser favorites, and this is really one that has recently grown back when I got back into this album after suggesting it, and I gave it some listens. This was one I was always looking forward to because the fact that it's just so strange. It's so a lot of their songs are like chorus hook reliant, and this one is, I think, the most just. I guess aside from Already Gone or Forget About Life, this one is like the most. It just is like a linear song that starts at one point and ends at a different point, and this one is becoming one of my favorite songs. I think I love the weird guitar intro. I love the just weird choices. Jack was talking about the choices with vocal delivery. The fact that she, for some reason, has like a pretend accent when delivering certain lines, coming in, and I think the speaking like a robot on Human Being is just, I love singing along to it. It's just fun to sing along to it so weirdly, especially when you have that she must go into a different mic or something and then just put this weird, like it's coming through an amp effect over it. Yeah, I really like this song quite a lot, and I agree mostly with Kale on this one that it definitely is a slapper.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to revisit this one.
This one grew on me the most out of all the songs on the album. This one started lower and rose higher after listens. So, and I think that just comes down to a lot of repetition in this album and a lot of songs. This one does not have that, so it kind of you hear new things on each listen, as I guess what I'll say. Anyways, we can move on to a good old ode to Jim.
or Lollipop, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Jim, referring to Jim Reed from the Jesus and Mary Chain, which is also a very weird band. I gave their most popular song to I listened to, and I was like, whoa. Apparently, she might have like a crush on him or something. Is what this song is about, or I don't know. This song's a bit all over the place for me, with the screeching sound playing ever so often in the background. Don't like it. The weirdly formed verses and the fast drums. It's just overwhelming for me, and I can't make sense of anything because I can't focus on anything. I just, something about this song and the next song, they're just like, how can we fit the most god-awful sounds into the background? What are those songs, and why can we play them in the background? I mean, this one there's a screeching, and then the next one there's like some weird whale shit going on. I don't know what is going on. It's like, why do they do this? And it's not like the pretty whales, like the it's like that with 17 other effects that make for like the unsound, which is supposed to be the sound when you hear it you die the next day. Yeah, I don't like it. I feel like I'm gonna die.
Wow.
I'm gonna die.
I'd say you brought it all on that. This is a nasty call out. I mean, I thought the lyrics were interesting. It felt like, I'm seeing something on social media I'm not supposed to or something. It's just like she dated this guy. He's got a regular girlfriend, and they were, kind of hiding it, and I don't know, it was just interesting lyrically, but with that relentless drum beat, I was like, I immediately thought of the Go-Go's, and I thought, here we go, this will be cool, something that's not ethereal and slower. But the vocals came on, kind of quashed that hope. This is where her soft voice starts to get a little weary for me. I'm like, come on, this song's a banger musically, so get a little more edgy, get more punky with your voice. I'm sure it can do it. I'm not sure actually, because it's never really exposed, but I imagine she can. So for me, the voice is getting to be a one-trick pony a little bit, and doesn't work as well with an upbeat song for me. At least that's kind of, it was a juxtaposition on this one, the music versus her voice for me.
My first note in all caps is great drum beat, because abso-freaking-lutely this song has this awesome beat. But frankly, the rest of it is a bad acid trip. it's 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 sound wise, it's kind of a mess. Non-rhythmically, it's kind of a mess. Chorus is good, but not great. It's like they tried really hard to make something, but it's for me, this is too many drugs for me. This is a little too far over the rainbow.
Have you guys seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Yep. And read the book.
Can you imagine a scene from that movie where it's like, you're behind his point of view, obviously on the influence of multiple things, and it's like him kind of narrating in his brain this crazy shit that he's seeing. And I don't know where I was going with that actually, but anyway,
there you go.
I don't know. See, that's the thing about this song. It's like it's so hectic. Like it gives me a headache, but it's also got this like sickly sweet poppiness to it that's really catchy. And sorry, when I was trying to describe that situation, like the lyrics are kind of disjointed, right? Like it's almost like she's telling one really long story about this date with this guy. It's like, like she's, I mean, like I said, it's telling a story. And and they are doing drugs in the story. That's kind of why I relate it to that. And the music is just kind of wild and all over the place. Just like the story is kind of wild and all over the place. Like she's thinking about this guy, and then I think some other guy is in the picture, and then like they're fucking and they bust a coffee table, and then I don't know, it goes to hell after that. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I don't know, just a wild song, and I like it, but just not all the time. And like I said, if it catches me on the wrong day, I'm just like, oh, this is too much right now. I need.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about this song. I would agree that on the right day, maybe it could catch me better. I definitely agree that there are times when I guess you wish her voice had a bit more punch to it. And she sometimes got, I guess, a little less, like tongue in cheek with the lyric content and the vocal delivery. It works on some songs, and in a song like this, it doesn't really work. I do, however, I like the kind of weird guitar effects coming in and out constantly. Whereas Jack, I guess, not a fan of on this one particularly. I like that. I guess my biggest gripe would definitely be vocally. I think on this song is, yeah, this one's probably not one of my tops, but I like it on depending on, I guess, my mood. But yeah, kind of transitions to Already Gone, I guess. Not really at all.
Is that what you described, that sound, that screeching sound, is a guitar effect? Because it doesn't sound like it to me. It sounds like you took a knife to one of the strings and fucking dragged it along. Like
I mean, in my like it builds tension, and I don't know, in my brain, I guess, and then it's just kind of releases multiple times. I don't know.
And sure, like I can get it in like songs that are tense and like maybe do that, like in San Fermin, like The Woods, I would totally get something like that. But like, and this, and like with her voice, I'm like, now I'm confused and disoriented, and I don't want to be here. Uh, so
I'm not necessarily advocating for it, so you don't really have
okay.
to.
Anyways,
Yeah.
already gone. I touched about it. There's some weird like whale noise shit going on in the background with 17 other effects as well that, man, don't appreciate it. Let's stop it with the weird sounds, please. This ain't it.
S's, the T's, the whale sounds.
Yeah, yeah.
You just can't be happy, can you?
No. I don't vibe with this track at all. No, this ain't it. You're muted, Dad.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted. There we go.
Sorry
There
about
we go.
that. Yeah, I don't have a lot either, except that when I said before, imagining where I'd listen to this music, and I said, you know, chilling on a couch, maybe flipping through a magazine. I would also add a deprivation tank. I think, and I'm serious, floating along in that oh so salty water in a dark space. This would be great for that. If it's only great for that, it's not going to get a lot of exposure, but I totally see that. Just not as much driving down the road.
Yes. Wow, a guitar. I can actually hear a guitar. That's great. I liked that immediately. More of a subdued, nice intro. It's super laid back. Very different than a lot of the other tracks on here, even the ones that are still kind of cool and still kind of lit. This one to me is very much meditative and quiet and simple, and I kind of like that a lot. I enjoy the backing sounds. I'm into weird shit like that, and I think it's great. I love the backing noises. I like long songs and backing noises, both things that Jack hates. Oh, excuse me, anything over 4 minutes 25 seconds, I can get into.
Okay.
For this one and the next one, I don't have a ton. You can mostly move past me. But I mean, you know, falsettos and spaciness, that's a great place for me. But I'd say this is one's on the weaker side of that vibe of the album.
Is this the Pale Impala track on the album, would you say?
The what?
The Pale Impala track of the album.
The Pale Impala?
Pale Impala.
Huh?
What's Pale Impala?
Impala, I hardly know her.
I'm not familiar with the Pale Impala.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I won't bust your balls.
Do any of you guys? Nobody here has entered a sensory deprivation tank before, correct?
Correct.
I've been in one.
You have.
Yes.
It's usually for people who don't have many synapses.
Hey,
How?
how?
Yeah.
There's a salon in Ely that has a deprivation tank.
What's Ely?
Ely, Iowa. It's a small town.
Where?
Outside of Cedar Rapids, 15 miles, 20 miles.
You are trying to go to a sensory deprivation tank.
Check it out. I'm sure Des Moines has them.
What? So what? You gotta pay like $50 to sit in it for an hour, or what?
Yeah, it was actually a gift certificate.
What the fuck is this? What are we talking about?
He's
We're
trying
almost
to
done
create
with the
perfect
album.
atmosphere.
We're talking about sensory deprivation tanks that people want to know.
Who says who?
First of all, I am very interested in a sensory deprivation tank. And So I'm just curious if any of you guys, if that was something you had thought about doing. I've heard you could maybe have some, some wild experiences doing that. So
Awesome.
Yeah, you can hallucinate and such.
right, So I
cool.
gotta check that out.
To the point where you think it'd say pale Impala instead of tame Impala.
Why did this start? If there was no point, why did you bring it up?
Because Bart had nothing to say about this song, but he wanted to speak still. So if you can just kind of get going about a sensory deprivation tank, I think.
He still needs his mic time, even if he doesn't.
Yeah.
How about we take the podcast to a sensory
Killing my
deprivation tank?
synapses as we keep going.
I guess really quick to bring it back to Already Gone. To write the entire album, Molly went to an isolated island, I think in Canada. They have some kind of grants for artists, and you can just kind of like rent an island or a place on an island, and she just wrote this entire album, I think, on an island in isolation. And she had a dream about a family member, a close friend dying, a very vivid dream, and that's what this song is about.
They were hit by a tree branch, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but I think I like her vocal delivery on this one quite a lot. I think if you're going to talk about breaking away from the mold that she kind of typically has, this one, I think, is the most emotional that she gets on the album in terms of delivery, when she gets in with the minuscule and draining the pool. And it gets a little bit emotional, and you get a little sense of weight in her voice. So I guess I thought I'd just touch on that quickly, but that's about all I have to say. It's kind of stripped down, so other than the whale noises.
Fuck the whale noises, man. Anyways, with Saved by a Waif, thank God we got back into the vibey territory. Love the you cut your hair. Yeah, that one. That note. And the chorus in general is just really great. And the bridge is pretty good as well. It's a very welcome change from the last two tracks. And Rankin's voice really shines in this track. And that's really what I had been waiting for this entire album, is this song pretty much. She lets it go in this song. I mean, she like hints at it. This is basically an accumulation of everything. Like, you've got the softness of the first two tracks. You've got the punkiness of Plimsoll Punks. And then you get the falsetto as well. It's like that's the one and all package. I really enjoyed this one. It's a great tune. I truly was saved by the waif with this one.
Sadly, you couldn't be more wrong.
What the fuck?
What?
The title,
Yeah, I got to agree.
The title is the best part of this song by far. I love the Save the Whales, Saved by a Waif kind of connection, and we've been listening to whale music up to this point, and just that tie-in is fantastic.
I hate you.
But for me, the funny phrasing and the strange lyrics that I don't follow, and I said I wanted her to get a little more edgy and this and that, but this isn't edgy. This is just weird vocal gymnastics that I don't like.
This song has weird phrasing. Where the heck were you on? Hey, she built 30 syllables into one line. What?
I said it was a mess. I'm being consistent. Where's your consistency, Synapse boy?
Dare you disrespect the slapper?
I thought the music on this one was fantastic, however, but sadly it's overwhelmed by the other craziness. I just didn't think they worked together for me, the vocals and the music. I enjoyed the music, but the vocals screwed it up.
Well, I hate to jump on the bandwagon. Sorry.
Let's see where Kale lands.
Okay.
Can't wait.
I'm about to jump on the bandwagon. The most beautiful part actually is not the title for me. The most beautiful part is the intro.
Ending?
Oh, no, actually the opposite. This beautiful intro, which sounds to me like an orchestra. It has a vibe which I loved, and psych, it goes into what I would refer to, and I believe I did refer to in my notes as, quote, hipster drivel. Uh, Not a huge fan, even musically, of this song. Um, Lyrically, to me, it's trying too hard to be. It's pretension without intelligence. I think that they're trying a little. This whole band at this point is trying a little too hard on this track, except for the intro, which I absolutely adore and I wish was the whole song.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about this one. It just never. I had a really hard time making notes for it, and it just never really grabbed me.
If anything, you should be the one to like this. You put Cruel Runnings on here, on this podcast. This sounds the most like the Beach Cruel Runnings song of any other song.
It's not like I don't like it. I just, I didn't love it
I
either.
don't know. You haven't said anything.
I mean, he's lukewarm to it. Is I guess I think not much to say. I'm surprised. I'm in Jack's camp. I kind of almost for once on this album, at least for the last 6 or 7 songs. I don't know how how a song like Plimsoll Punks can grab you in any sense, or your type, and then the chorus of this song is just. I agree. It is semi vocal exercisey in terms of you start low, you get high, you kind of bounce around in there. But I personally I can't help but do what Jack did and attempt to sing along with it, and emphasis on attempt, because I can in no way jump that range like that in the song. But I think the chorus for me really saves this song, and jumping along and singing along with that is always something that I kind of enjoy. I think it's kind of, for me, it's kind of like a sleeper hit, because it's packed right between these two, Already Gone and Forget the intro to Forget About Life, and you've got one last kind of uppercut from this kind of fast-paced energy. And I really like this song. I like the line, "Mommy wants you to be a doctor so she can tell your friends you're like your father." The lyrics are always something I enjoy on throughout this album, and this song's no exception. So I'm surprised with the fact that you can be kind of just lukewarm to the song, or think, I guess, other ones stand out more than this one, because I guess I was not expecting that more so. Not that I necessarily disagree, I just was not expecting it. So we can move on to the final track, Forget About Life.
Yeah, I was just kind of lukewarm about this one. Didn't really grab my attention in anyway.
That's it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Fuck
Dude, this I don't know. What is this album doing to everyone? I feel like you get to a song, and for everyone, I have no idea what anyone's going to say. Because every time I'm like, okay, I've put you into the box now. I understand what you're going to say. Somebody goes, this one I liked. This one I don't like at all. And I'm just, I do not get it.
And you have listened to the show before, right?
No,
Yeah.
I have.
That's pretty much my experience every week.
I'm surprised at some of these takes here.
No, it's never been this crazy. I don't think any album has been this crazy.
I think you at least have some sort of like consistency on this one. Is a weaker song, or at least you can expect Jack would say, I don't like this one, or I do like this one. And with this one, I feel like I have no idea what Jack is about to like or dislike. Is the T being too pronounced on the end of this one? I mean,
no, this one doesn't give me nearly as strong emotions. This one's just fine. I mean, it's all right. Nothing grabs me. I'm lukewarm, man.
I hate to say it, but yeah, I think this album has brought out all of our worst little pet peeves in people. I mean, for me, this Saved by a Waif, the vocal thing, it's like she's channeling her inner Mariah Carey, who, would take great pains to show off her range. And she's up and down. And it's like, it reminds me of that a little bit. And so, yeah, it's funny how it is checking some boxes for us, but in a bad way at times. But for me, I like this one. I'm worried that it being on the tail end, and so much of this music is light that, there could be some fatigue, some Molly Rankin fatigue at this point, which would be a shame because the lyrics, I think, are simple enough in a way that is often important in a song. The vocals work great with that sentiment of those lyrics, and the phrasing is kind of, I think, as Bart has put it in the past, what I expect, which is what I want. And that's why I really like this song and don't the one before, because that's not the phrasing I expect or want. If that helps you understand why I like one and not another.
Bart, you gotta stop playing the music so loud in the background. We're gonna get copyright strike.
I mean, it's coming through.
Yes.
Well, we're about to talk about this one. I had to listen to it. I'm always listening to this. Go ahead, Cal.
I love this song, and I think it's not for any of the reasons which are to be expected. And I think the main feature of that is because I tend to enjoy albums based on how they begin and how they end and what the story arc they take me on is through the middle, or what it is that I enjoy within the middle. So I tend to I've started to implement listening to it straight through as it was recorded, or as the track list is laid out, and then I go backwards, and then I do a shuffle, and then I start in the middle and work my way out. And this song is you called Saved by a Waif a sleeper hit. I think this one's a sleeper hit, and I think interesting and kind of beautiful way to close the album. And I think that's something I appreciated the most, because you're only as good as your first and last song. And I think in listening to as much music as I tend to, I think that turns out to be true. And I completely agree with what Mark said about getting burnt out. Because my first listen, which was straight through, I was totally burnt out. But then taking it from a different angle and looking at it from a different perspective and rearranging things kind of put this song in a new light for me and made it one of my more favorite tracks on the album, and a beautiful closer, in my opinion.
Oh, wow, Kale, I'm so glad that you love this song. But no way is it a sleeper. Like, to me, this is an obvious, like, it's got it all for me. I mean, even down to tying in with the opening track, talking about like the moon and relating, like it's even in the lyrics, like similar themes. There's ton of tasty little nugs in here too. My personal favorite being the synth coming in just a second or two before she's like, says the line, the synth that you bought yesterday. It's just such a pretty song, and I think the way her voice is isolated for most of the song just gives it like this awesome weight. And I mean, who doesn't, we're talking about association again, and who doesn't want to forget about life every once in a while? And For me at least, like the song paints such a lovely picture of just, in this particular one, it's condominium lights, but really like what it comes down to is a relatable situation of losing yourself with somebody, like because you're just so stoked to be around them. Like it doesn't even matter if you're in a less than savory place. You can forget about all the crappy stuff that's going on. And what an awesome one to go out on. I would die for this song. This is the song on the album that this is the song that exists in music history forever.
No.
No. I think I mean, this song, you've got this very isolated lyrical beginning with Molly coming in. It slowly, piece by piece, builds it, and you think you kind of have the vibe of the song figured out, and then the woo comes in about 2/3 of the way through, and you get one final hoorah kind of with all the instruments back in there. I think it's a really good closer, as you guys put. I like it's a shame that it's this far in, because like you guys are saying, I guess you can get a bit fatigued listening to the album the whole way through. And but this song kind of has to be the closer, because it just fits in that so perfectly. It wraps it up in a bow very nicely, with kind of the soft beginnings and a triumphant end at the end. And I side note, I really like the line, inhaling this undrinkable wine. I mean,
Me too.
I think we've all been there to some extent, I guess. Yeah, I would agree that this one it fits a little bit more in the sleeper category, except that I guess what I meant when a sleeper hit, I just meant like it was, you thought you were kind of over that lump a bit of those faster songs and those kind of poppier chorus songs, and then this one the Saved by a Wave came in out of nowhere. This one for me does fit a lot more in line with In Undertow, and since Jack didn't really love In Undertow, it kind of makes sense, I suppose, that he doesn't love this song. So yeah, this is also one like Hey that's grown on me a lot. Ultimately, I think I'm gonna abstain from picking the song on the album that you guys are talking about. I'll leave it to the permanent members to.
No.
Okay,
What?
You don't have to come to the agreement, but you at least have to throw a takeout.
Sure.
I'll throw a takeout, and I can settle a tie.
There you go.
Okay, I like that.
But first, before we do that, I want to talk about two things that you mentioned. Firstly, just the undrinkable wine. I think Molly has mentioned that she has a fascination with drowning, which I believe that is what is referring to. Like
walk into the lake and swallow wing or something like that is the opening to this. So.
Yeah, like she has some weird fascination with drowning, like wants to experience it or something, but knows like she can't. Like it's always kind of that like forbidden fruit kind of thing. So it's a little scary, but that's just a
She's
note.
a nut.
Yeah, and then there's also the thing about being worn out through this album, which I find very interesting, because this is like on the short end of albums that we've listened to.
It's only a little over 30 minutes.
Yeah. And it's weird how like we listen to 50-minute albums, and there's certain ones that I won't feel worn out and like by at all. And like this one's like 30 minutes, and like we've all kind of acknowledged that you can get kind of like beat by the end of it. And I wonder why that is, because
okay, I was about to go out of my way to disagree, where I do think that this is an easy breeze through.
Sure.
And maybe I don't want to listen to it back to back and then like front to back and then front to back again.
Okay.
Like I don't want to do full listen throughs back to back, but I have absolutely no problem going through a single listen. It's over like that. I mean, this thing couldn't be more than like 35 minutes full runtime, if that,
No,
right?
it's 32.
It's like 32, yep.
Right. So I don't know. I think this flies by. I mean, like, sure, the back half like slows down a little bit, but still, like, the album finishes and I see it's only been a half hour, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, especially for me, like during the day at work, it's like, well, shit, I only did like 3 CBUs. Well, time to queue up the
Yes.
next YouTube video.
I think it would come down to this album is a little bit more of like it's a little bit more of a vibe album, and you can kind of pick and pull whatever song you want and get if for a lot of them, you could pick Your Dreams Tonight or In Undertow or Not My Baby, and either one of those can do the same sort of trick for you. And so if you're listening in this podcast sense and you're trying to dissect each song, go through each song, I think that's where the wear and tear can hit you, is you're trying to pick out these minute differences between the songs, and they kind of flow together in your brain, and the delivery is often the same, and so you're really grasping at straws to pick and pull differences between the songs. And sometimes I think like Bart was saying, I think it's an easy breezy listen to when you're not actively trying to dissect every little piece of it.
Okay.
Right. So let's go with Dreams Tonight and call it an evening. All right.
I will agree with that one.
Hell no. Hell no. Absolutely not. Dreams Tonight at its best. Dreams Tonight at its best is still an inferior In Undertow.
No.
You're never going to get Jack to agree to that.
I will not agree to that. It's got to be Not My Baby. It's got to be.
No. No.
Look, are you going
assuming nobody wants to agree with Forget About Life, it's got to
Slapper.
Slapper, sleeper, or banger? And Dreams Tonight is the banger.
Listen, I'll give my
Can I propose?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go, Jack. You first.
Okay, so like mine obviously isn't. It's Dreams Tonight. I like a lot. And as I kind of alluded to, Saved by a Waif is my favorite. But obviously, we're not going to agree on that because nobody else has the same thing. Forget About Life. I was lukewarm to. I'm not going to agree to that. I feel like Dreams Tonight is going to be the only one that we can even come close to any sort of.
No, it's the only one that you liked on the album.
That's
so
not
it's the
true.
only one that we can get you to agree to.
I think that gives you the general vibe of the band.
And you have the most out there takes out of all compared to the rest of us.
All right,
I feel
Kale,
like.
go ahead.
In my opinion, might I suggest another song which we haven't talked about very much, but I think truly encapsulates this band. I think it's Plimsoll Punk.
Oh no!
Get out! Get out! Out! Get out!
This is the worst album to do this new exercise on. This is the worst album.
I would settle for Not My Baby, and that's it. It's either Dreams Tonight or Not My Baby. One of those.
I mean, there's. If it comes down to that, or it's not going to be resolved. So,
I mean, you guys can put your votes out or whatever for two.
Not My Baby.
And what's Kale between those two?
Between those two, I think it's Dream Tonight.
Dreams Tonight.
Well, it looks like Bart would be outnumbered then.
He's so pissed.
You introduced the idea and you absolutely hate the result.
I mean,
I love that.
It's unfortunate that like if any outsiders see this, they're going to be presented the wrong answer.
I think I would argue that Dreams Tonight is the perfect song to introduce the band to. I mean, in my opinion, it's the most, you listen to it once and instantly you hear that chorus and you kind of, I mean, you're in, you know what I mean? I compare that to like some of the other songs, and I think everyone disagreed. You had at least one person who was maybe like, I'm lukewarm to this. I didn't like this delivery. I didn't like X, Y, Z. Dreams Tonight, I think, was one of the only ones that everyone could agree. Like this one slaps to some extent, you know, like the hook is very good. So
yeah, it's the only one probably going to my playlist. So I think you're absolutely right.
Dreams Tonight it is, babe.
No.
So, shall we rate this puppy and then hear the pick and wrap this thing up? I am going to give it a 3.
Oh.
I was not prepared for this part, like always.
Always.
What the
Yes.
F am I going to give? I mean, this is in the 3s for sure.
Where
Kale looks
Where
like
am
he has
I?
an answer. What's up, Kale?
Yes, I do. I was gonna go with 3.2, but that seemed a little low. 3.4 for me.
3.4.
I'm right there as well. Exact same.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay, so that will probably just be
Finally, consensus.
How about only the score?
Well,
we
the
agree
problem is, I mean, I really wanted to give that album a higher rating, but the issue, because I liked almost every song on the album, like it's another one where there wasn't anything on it that I was like, this sucks. But at the same time, I don't think I'd put any of them on a regular rotation. I mean, there's 2 or 3 that I really, really liked and will definitely be like added to my library, but it's still, kind of a mood. And that's part of the reason that I gotta bring it down, is that it's not an everydayer.
He's definitely going on my playlist.
Yeah.
100%.
all right. Yeah, shall we hear Kale's pick and then say our farewells?
Oh, Jason, did you happen to listen to Keep Shelling in Athens?
I did. I thought, I mean, out of all the bands that were referenced today, that definitely comes closest to an Always sound.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Did you enjoy it?
I very much liked the opening track, the name of which is not coming to my brain. Oh man. I really liked.
Was it Fractals? Is that what I sent you?
Yeah. That is it. I really like the guitars in that one.
Okay.
And it is a lot more atmospheric, I would say. And whereas Always kind of relies on Molly's vocals for a lot of it, but then that one is a lot more atmospheric. But yeah, I 100% can see the connection.
All right,
Cool,
Kale.
man.
Hit us with it.
First, I want to say thank you to Jason for coming on. You'll definitely be back.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
yeah.
I was gonna.
Oh, and
end
I'm bringing a bigger banger the next time. It's only going
Okay.
up from here. It's only going up from here.
It would be in slapper category.
You're gonna end up breaking up the pod with these magnitude 10 albums you got coming in.
All right, so it's my week, and I know how much everybody loves Kale weeks because they never know what to expect, and I love them too because I never know what to give you guys. But this week, we're going for a total change in tone, a total change in pace from what I've usually been picking. We're going with something a little bit heavier, a little bit darker. Quick story. Sorry.
It's Shark Week, I said.
Shark Week. I was in quarantine and I was surfing through some music as I do, and I came across this funky, weird looking album art, and I was like, what in the hell is this? And I said, it's way too weird for me to not listen to. And the first thing I did was put on the first track, this band called Grinder Man.
Grinder Man.
Grinder Man.
Is that a monkey?
Yes, it is. Featuring one of my favorite band leaders of all time, Mr. Nick Cave on vocals. Good luck. Have fun.
Oh, so it's Grinder Man by Grinder Man.
I even have a song called Grinder Man. So it's Grinder
awesome.
Man by the band Grinder Man on the album Grinder Man.
Okay. Sounds
Didn't have any
good.
trouble remembering that.
Yeah.
You know it's gonna be good when it's have fun with this one.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, he's
Good
got
luck.
Grinderman and Grinderman 2. Okay.
We got a late start, but I did predict this was going to be our longest running pod. It is our latest.
Which is so
running
strange.
pod.
It's only a 30-minute album. I guess you guys did go on a little bit of a tangent about deprivation tanks for a bit,
Little
for
bit.
a second. You'll have to revisit that conversation as soon as possible. But
Oh, yeah. Next pod, we'll work it in.
The next pod will just be a deprivation tank.
I was thinking that I could be crazy.
episode 100.
If there was a way where we could like have our little headsets on and like be in a pod, but like otherwise totally submerged, where the only audio we could hear was each other talking to the pod. I think that would be. Honestly, we could set it up at home. You know,
Would definitely start hallucinating to that.
we get. So I'm saying, right? We just like probably imagine that we're all in the same space. You know, even if.
Yeah. You put Lollipop on.
Yep.
All right.
Hit some LSD.
Well, thank you all for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jason. It was a great
Pleasure
time.
was all ours, sir. You've been an absolute delight.
Just before I end this here, when I look up Grinderman on Spotify, and down at the bottom of this page, and under podcasts and shows, there's a podcast called Suck My Art Hole that shows up that only has one podcast titled April 14th, 2018 that is 3 seconds long, and I am terrified to listen to it, but I just thought I should bring it up.
Oh, also, one more thing. I will be sending extra credit into our group chat, so please do your extra credit this time, because this is a live band.
It's not a live band. You gotta say it live.
And don't forget what song you want to save for humanity's future. Well, jettisoning the rest of the album into oblivion.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
All
That's
right.
an
Went so
important
well
new
tonight.
aspect.
Again,
Yeah.
thank you, Jason, for coming along. It's been a pleasure. We will surely have you again. This has been the Passing Notes Podcast. Remember to check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment so you will be discussed among the next podcast. You can listen
We'll
to us.
talk about it. We will.
We will talk about you.
It might
It
not
won't be nice. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that we're going to give you props for commenting. You know, we might clown.
Better have a good name, otherwise we'll make fun of it. Yeah. Check us out on everywhere you can listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Leave a comment. Awesome. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Good night, guys.